Okay, R9T.
Can I make a couple of announcements about items that are being withdrawn? And so R7J is being withdrawn. R9O is being deferred till July. R7J withdrawn. R9O deferred to the July meeting. Mayor Minor was a yes on R7O. I'm sorry, Vice Mayor, which item did you want me to call? R9T is discuss reinstituting residential parking permit decal, R9T.
Mr. Mayor.
Commissioner Suarez.
Here. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I believe this has gone through committee with unanimous favorable recommendation. The idea here is very simple. You know, we have about six on any certain shift, we have about 6 parking employees that check for vehicles that are unregistered, parked in residential parking spaces. And the idea is that we use a license plate reader to check these vehicles to see whether they're registered or not, or they have a visitor pass, for example. And having 6, I don't think is enough to cover all of Miami Beach. And if those license plate readers break down or they become inoperable for whatever reason, we're not really enforcing, other than having our parking attendants walk around, take a picture of the license plate, and reading off whether it's valid or not valid. So the idea here of reinstituting the decal program is to get community policing from the residents on a block-by-block basis, because if you live in an area and you rely on on-street parking, no one's going to know your neighborhood or your block better than you and your neighbors. And so if you notice that a car is out of place after circling the block 5 times because you can't find parking, you notice that they don't have a decal, you can call the parking department and say, hey, this car doesn't seem like it's valid, or as it belongs here. You know, can you please send someone to see if it is registered? And so I think this would be a great step for quality of life for people that, you know, who can't find parking in residential neighborhoods. This is going to be tremendous for North Beach now that we just passed this pilot program, or we will hopefully pass this pilot program, where if you do see a car that's being touroed, or you do see that construction worker being dropped off and then getting shuttled to Surfside, you can call it in because you know that they're not a registered vehicle in a residential neighborhood. So I'd like to hear what my colleagues have to say about this.
Thank you, Commissioner Suarez. So this is interesting. When I first read it, it seemed like we were taking a step backwards and having decals again. But if we only have 6 people, that's concerning for the entire city. I'd like to hear from the city administration, the transportation director, to see how they feel about this program.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. Jose Gonzalez, Transportation Mobility Director and Interim Parking Director. So, and Commissioner Suarez summarized the initiative very well. I will say that we do have some concerns. There's advantages and there are disadvantages. Certainly, the community policing is an advantage. Any resident can just walk up to a vehicle, check to see if they've got the proper decal. If they don't, they call it in, and enforcement is on the way. However, there are also advantages to a virtual permit system, which is the current system that we've had since 2016, and it's the system that most metropolitan cities have moved towards, some sort of a virtual system that more easily tracks many things, including even for purposes of statistics, how many citations are issued, how many license plate are scanned, with a paper decal system that is much more challenging to accomplish than with a virtual automated system. There are also the convenience aspects of this. The fact that a resident can purchase a permit from anywhere, remotely, from their home. And it's in real time. As soon as that permit is purchased through the platform, it's instantaneous, rather than purchasing a permit, having it to wait, so either pick it up in person or wait for it to arrive by mail. So those are some of the disadvantages, if you will, of a, paper system that we wanted to just highlight and for all of you to be aware. Certainly, community policing is an advantage of the paper decal system, which is why, one of the options that we suggested was perhaps a dual, and I think it was discussed at the last FERC meeting on April 19, which I attended, but not in this capacity. But there was some discussion of a dual system, which would allow for both a decal system as well as continuing to keep the virtual system, which has its advantages, as I just mentioned. Of course, with a dual system, not every registered vehicle will display a decal. So there is that drawback to a dual system, but it will allow us to continue to use the virtual system, maintain the integrity of that system, and consistency and continuity in terms of enforcement.
Jose, if I may.
Of course, Commissioner Pao.
What is the incremental cost to doing both programs for the first year?
So I'm going to defer to Manny Marquez in the Finance Department. They would handle a lot of those resident walk-ins and transactions.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Manny Marquez, Assistant Wilson. Footfall visits at our customer service center. So we would have to ramp up with staff. Will be a little longer. This is for 3 years. We're trying to track down the decals that are being sold a lot, tags list. So there's a lot of fraud, and there is going to be a lot of traffic. And then we got a lot of customers complaining that when we mail them stickers, they never got it. So at one point, a process in person to pick up the stickers to avoid this fraud. So that's one of the concerns that we have with the stickers.
So, I don't know the very quickly who is it. So, one is, could we make it getting a contingent on registering for more of an identification badge? Still parking if you don't have it and not be in violation of it. But it would make it easier for everyone. Identify if it is parking. Could we try this way we're trying is where people are, what they are, and see maybe.
PR, license plate recognition, and the sticker. And secondly, to do a pilot program for a year, we can do a pilot program. Give the commission
But the online program, like just do like email.
Currently have
I mean, if I live here, I can just kind of get a sticker, like to register in this. If I also want to get a sticker, I could get a sticker. Don't need to.
yes.
It could also upon renewal of a permit.
System where we send a PIN number to you have to type in the automatically renew system. So, and it should give a new sticker every year. So,
So when we're talking pilot, to test if so, have you identified where?
what I've read is citywide.
Was for the decal program.
As a pilot, it would be similar. And for example, we could go to Zip.
I think, you know, we're pilot this proposal specific obtained by going back to the physical decal is something that can help citywide. And so I wouldn't want us to just, you know, pick one neighborhood and now, you know, and that one neighborhood, the residents there have bigger bonus in other areas. But I might
To the right person, you know, just to move it along is very important. Because remember, once the MOU signed, it's not going to be instantaneous. The petitions are going to have to be advertised, individuals are going to have to be hired, they're going to have to be trained to get up to speed. So it's not going to be instantaneous at all. So if they could get moving on it, that would be helpful.
Okay.
So we don't have the MOU at this point, so.
Okay, so from our standpoint, we've done everything. We're waiting on the county.
Absolutely.
Okay. We'll talk offline how we can expedite that.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks for the update.
You're welcome.
Call C4A.
C4A, referral to Art in Public Places, implement call to artists for mural on Colony Theater. It was separated by Commissioner Bott.
So I like the idea of elevating the Colony Theater. If the Colony Theater folks are in favor, I'm supportive. I don't want to get in the way of this. And I don't know if the rendering included in the packet was just a placeholder, but I was really surprised that the way I understood it, the mural that was being contemplated was of pinup ladies in scanty clothes, well, not scanty by today's standards, but and I understand that the thought behind it was to celebrate the golden age of movie theater history. I just think it is absolutely counter to the message that we want to be sending in the city of Miami Beach. You know, we're fighting to get streets named after notable women. The last thing we want to do is objectify women on the side of a building. So there are lots of different ways we can celebrate the golden years of moviedom. And I would suggest that my wish would be that as this moves forward, which, you know, I'm not going to stand in the way of it, but as this moves forward, the subject matter of the mural is really reconsidered.
The item did not explain that this was Barbara Hulanicki's vision, not mine, and, you know, we're paying her, and she is the creative mind behind this. What I would suggest, and by the way, you were not the only person who had an objection. Michelle Hausman, the director of the Colony, when he saw it, because it's a massive white wall, and right now it's just white and unsightly. What we decided to do was make it more diverse and reflect the different Latin kind of diaspora, if you will, like Afro-Caribbean. That was very important to him because that's part of his theater. Now, if you wanted to, you know, I am not the creative person behind this who suggested this inspiration. It is a strip, and that was just some sort of inspiration. What I would suggest is sit down, for example, with Barbara Hulanicki and ask her how could we make how could we change this vision? Because what we found through this process is that, you know, she is creative license, and that's why people like Chris Blackwell and Craig Robbins and the Estefans have hired her to do their stuff. You know, she's the visionary. It was not me at all. what I would suggest is to ask her, you know, if this could not be the inspiration, and I would like to empower women, and I don't find this empowering at all, maybe you could work with her to get something better that you liked. You know, it's whimsical, and we were going to make it a little bit more diverse, but we're calling.
Michelle Hausman and get their thoughts and maybe give a little bit of a different bit of guidance. I understand she's a brilliant creative mind, and I don't take that away from her at all, but sometimes, you know, there's more to what gets put forward than just pure creativity, because it's got to reflect the community. It's not a private home or a private business. It's a community, and it needs to be appropriate and embracing and aspirational and lots of different things than what somebody might do in their hotel, for instance. So anyhow, I am not stopping. I just want to make that.
Okay, so what I can do.
Oh, sorry.
So I would like to, do you want to say, make sure that Barbara attends this Art in Public Place meeting, right? Jacqueline has done a very, very excellent job of picking Barbara up, because, you know, Barbara is well on in years. I believe she's 89 at this point. So we really are having an icon design these things. But we will give her your feedback. We'll make sure that she gets that message. Yeah, we're getting the thumbs up. And this will be heard publicly if you want to, you know, reiterate those thoughts at Art in Public Places and again before the HPP. And by the time it comes out, we should have something nice. We need to put it through this process, and we also need to, you know, get the funding for this, correct? I mean, I think we will definitely. Okay, so with that, I move the item.
All in favor? Roll.
Aye.
Motion passes.
And I'll come for the C7W and C7X.